Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my reading of Fate's Strange Fake. We're moving on to the next chapter of Volume 3, which is Chapter 9, A Horse Not Yet Pale, Mud Yet Firm. That means nothing to me so far. Something to do with Ryder, perhaps? I don't know. Let us get going. I've been really excited to read some more. So, Chapter 9, Day 1 Evening. A horse not yet pale, mud yet firm. Hundreds of thousands of people are reported missing in the United States every year. If you were to ask whether the number of people actually disappear each year, I guess, yeah, the answer would be that half do and half do not. That is a topic I never even considered, right? Japanese news media often reports the sensational figure. Actually, however, the greater part of persons reported missing are found within the day or within a few days. Those who remain missing for more than a year, that is to say, those who have truly disappeared, make up less than 10% of the total. Tens of thousands of people each year. Tens of thousands is not a number that can be overlooked. Even accepting that, however, the number of years leading up to the Holy Grail War were abnormal. It was a slow change in a sense. No one realized its true meaning. No one, except the man who caused it. Oh no. There was a mass of twisted magical energy called mud. Francesca extracted it from the Greater Grail Fuyuki at the same time she stole a portion of the Grail's substance. Faldius, who had inherited memories of the Third War, recognized its nature. I wonder what that means, to inherit the memories of the Third War. Before that, the Grail had been absolutely clear, unpolluted by that clump of sentient magical energy. Faldius, following his memories, had immediately realized its identity. He had immediately proposed the mud be quarantined. No orders, however, had come down for its isolation, disposal, or purification. His superiors and their collaborators had an interest in the muck, in the human evil that had polluted the Holy Grail, and its power, which still retained the power to defile a new Grail 70 years later. That is to say, in the infinitely pure, infinitely stagnant wish that had composed a certain Avenger in the Third Holy Grail War. It was the boss of the Scladio family, Galvaroso Scladio, who had expressed the greatest interest in the mud, which Francesca had preserved for years in the gaps between the entrails of the adaptable humans. Whoa, what are we talking about entrails for? I don't know about that. Okay. Basdalot could master that toxic bog, he had said. Oh. Faldius had naturally been opposed. Because Francesca, who actually possessed the stuff, had accepted the proposal, however, the situation began to grow increasingly tangled. All of the muck's hosts had been seized by madness. It had ultimately consumed their bodies as well. Basdalot, however, remained just as he was before accepting it into his body. In fact, he was apparently nurturing the mud on his own magical power, increasing its volume. Oh no, he makes more mud! The Scladio family praised this as proof of Basdalot's power as a mage, claiming that he had subjected himself to his own magical domination in order to control the mud while preserving his sanity. Faldius knew better. It was true that Basdalot was employing his own magecraft in order to cultivate this muck. He must also be maintaining an extraordinary effort to prevent it from dominating his mind. Nevertheless, Faldius is aware that there was a single mistake in the Scladio family's accolades. Basdalot was not controlling the mud while preserving his sanity. The man called Basdalot had been mad long before it becoming its host, possibly from the very beginning. Snowfield Industrial District underground. You're back. Basdalot was in the vast, mystic workshop, with its entrance beneath the meat processing plant. Sensing a presence, he turned. His servant, Alcades, stood behind him. What do you think of the rumored king of heroes? He asked, facing the archer-cum-avenger. Look, I know what you're saying. We can't have the words Archer come Avenger. We can't have that, okay? That's a problem. That's going to be misconstrued. We can't have that, okay? Okay. Strong. He showed no signs of rising to my bait. He sometimes flew into a rage, but it was never more than a superficial display. According to Francesca, he's a conceited knight prone to violent outbursts. I suppose her information is dangerous to swallow. They had no way of knowing the existence of the heroic spirit Enkidu. The existence of the heroic spirit Enkidu had put the King of Heroes in an unprecedented good humor. He was now far more tolerant than he would normally be when he was summoned. But then, to Basilot and Alcides, Gilgamesh's personality hardly mattered. After a brief pause, Alcides addressed his master. "O master, what is the source of your magical energy? Even simply maintaining that sacrificial mud would be beyond any common mage. Are you worried that my magical energy will run dry? You must know the number and nature of my noble phantasms." Oh my god, is he going to have a noble phantasm for every single... Oh my god, he's going to have a noble phantasm for every single one of his trials, I swear. In a battle between servants, how freely each was able to employ their noble phantasms was often a deciding factor. A mystic pass now linked Alcides to his master, but he was still unable to fathom the limit of Basilot's resources. Basilot, I keep doing it Basilot. Basilot. To be precise, he could roughly sense the overall capacity of the master's magic circuits, but the volume of magical energy flowing through the pass between them clearly exceeded it. It's simple. I'm merely using batteries. Basilot reached a hand into his pocket as he spoke. It emerged holding an object the size of a baseball. At first, Alcides did not realize what it was. Once he did, however, he gave a low grunt of admiration. The thing in Basilot's hand was a crystal wrapped in an air of mystery. Though transparent, it refracted light in complex patterns. It resembled the mystic crystals used by jewel mages, but it seemed several orders of magnitude more pure. Alcides had seen such distinctive crystals before. It had the same aura as the mana crystals that the witches of Greece had once refined from the mana in the very air. If that was the case, it would mean that Basilot had been extracting vast quantities of magical energy from the crystal. A mana crystal stored was like a battery of magical energy, but it was not for boosting or immediately replenishing a mage or servant's odd. They were primarily used in order to add external magical energy when casting a spell. Basilot, however, was using a trick. By using a mud to pollute the energy, he was able to take it in himself and channel it into his servant. Using such a method, the corruption of that warped magical energy, which might justly be called suffering itself, would ordinarily have spread to his brain and driven him mad. Basilot was casting his domination magecraft on himself in order to manipulate it while keeping his right mind. Alcides had no aptitude for magecraft, but he had gained a suitable knowledge of it throughout his voyages on the Argo and other adventures. He quickly grasped Basilot's process. There were still 2 points, however, that he could not explain. Was the production of mana crystals impossible with the techniques of... Was not, rather, the production of mana crystals impossible with techniques of modern mages? And would not a crystal of the size of the one his master now held be exhausted relatively quickly? As if to answer his servant's doubts, Basilot rose from his seat. There's no need to worry about energy. The pair proceeded along a corridor of the underground workshop and arrived at a vast open space. It was far larger than the room Alcides had been summoned in, almost as large as if the plant above had sunk beneath the earth intact. Alcides saw it. Strange machines linked to rows of cylindrical water tanks. The center of this space was occupied by a device reminiscent of a summoning circle composed of modern mechanical technology. In a further corner of a room, a small mountain sparkled brightly enough to be mistaken for a castle's treasury. Lumps of transparent crystal were heaped up like mountains of jewels. That's only a fraction of them. Basilot's underlings began some kind of operation. Oh no, we're doing the thing. The human-shaped lumps in the tanks turned to foam and vanished. In exchange, a mana crystal the size of a baseball materialized atop the central apparatus. Sacrifices. Alcades understood everything. Yeah, here we go. A man called Atrum Galliasta developed the system. That's the original. Oh wow, we're even going back to Greece, huh? That's the original master of Medea, right? Who, yeah, was turning people into crystals, and then Medea's like, I can do that easy, and he was like, but I want to kill people. The Scladio family stole it and improved it. Atrum was a genius at developing these things, but his skill as a mage was lacking. I hear he died without a fight in the Fuki War before he had a chance to improve its efficiency. I see. So you derive the magical energy you channel into me by sacrificing human lives. The Scladio family has no shortage of enemies. If you find human sacrifice unforgivable, you'd always wring my neck right here. Basilot's eyes were reminiscent less of the Grim Reaper than of death itself. Whoa. Alcades quickly shook his head. It is a mere trifle compared with my vengeance on the Olympian tyrants, not even if the life offered as sacrifice was my own. Then, his whole frame oozing with reddish-brown energy, he voiced his grudge against the gods. They did not even sacrifice the souls of my children. They cast their lives into the furnace for common envy. Now we're at the police station. You know, bro, I'm guessing that this is Dumas, yeah. That Archie went after the hotels got me more worried than Saber. As always, you have sharp ears. Avenger, was it? Looks like little Miss Francesca was carrying around a bit of something awfully dangerous. Be that as it may, I hear that the actual servant was quickly eliminated from the Third Fuyuki War. I suppose no amount of human hate and anger is a match for heroic spirits. The chief and his men did not fight with deluded conviction and hate alone. He would not, however, deny that there was power in rage, hate, and other emotions. If they were totally ineffective, he would need to give another thought to their future movements. Ha! Demas answered, laughing. You're not giving revenge enough credit, Chief. Hate taken to an extreme is a form of curse all of its own. You might even call it a kind of mystery that's still around in the modern day and doesn't need magecraft. Of course, it's not really any kind of mystery. It's just a human emotion. A curse, huh? Yeah, the dangerous thing about it is the more just the revenge, the farther you take it, the better it feels. If hate's a curse, catharsis is opium. One taste and you're hooked. Doesn't matter if you're an avenger or an onlooker reading about one in a book or watching on a stage, or an author turning a profit making other people's revenge into books. Ha! The chief considered Dumas's words for a moment, then scowled and asked, Oh my god, here can we say, oh my god, we're doing it. It seems impossible, but was there a model for your Count of Monte Cristo? Who can say? One of the models is probably my old man. But did Edmond Dantes exist? Did he really take revenge that thrilled everyone who saw it? Did he give it up in the end? Was the treasure ever real? Oh, ever real? Only God knows. One of those Rashomon things. Well, it's definitely true that I made a mint on the novel. Ha ha ha! Oh, that's so good. Okay, so they're keeping it pretty open that, yeah, yeah, Monte Cristo definitely existed in the Fate world, right? We know that pretty much because he's not a fictional servant, right? So yeah, it's kind of nice that they're kind of treating it like that. If, for the sake of argument, there was a real man you based him on, and that man met you, you'd have no right to complain if he shot you dead. Okay, I guess so, Demas assented to the chief's sarcasm, laughing all the while. As long as I'm a servant, I might bump into him someday, but I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. I'll tell him thanks to you I made a boatload more than the villains who tricked you. Aha! Oh my god. If I was in his place, I'd still be waiting for a chance to sock you one. What was that line? Oh yes, it was. Hey, stop that! Demas shouted hurriedly. Don't quote an author about his own work. I won't be able to help thinking up a better line, then I'll want to revise it. I can't do that anymore. Sometime later, once he had calmed down, Demas resumed his lecture on the Curse of Vengeance. Anyway, bro, be careful. From a stranger's point of view, proper revenge, not unjustified resentment, is a pleasure to watch. It's contagious, you get me? The harder the revenge is to get, the stronger it is. Even that shiny king you're after could get swallowed up by the vengeance of some country bumpkin. Crystal Hill Hotel, top floor. He seems to be in high spirits today. The force is taking on an entirely different aspect from what it was by day. Windows were shattered throughout the suite. Tine was blocking the strong winds that blew at its high elevation with a mystic ward. She had also erected a number of additional wards tailored to deceive the eyes of any outside observers. Despite the recent attack, Gilgamesh had declared that no king would ever allow an arrow or two to dislodge him from his height, so they had returned to the hotel. Tine's followers were in the process of mesmerizing construction workers, etc. And the hero himself, ignoring the hardships around him, surveyed the great forest abutting the city. It seemed to improve his mood. It appears my friend has found a good opponent for limbering up as well. I am looking forward to it. The King of Heroes was looking down at the city, arms crossed. Anticipation of the coming battles must have him excited, because he addressed the following uncharacteristic remarks to Tine. Tine, ready an ample supply of magical energy. I will not draw Aya against mongrel riffraff, but even I cannot imagine how much power what I am about to do will take. The King of Heroes spoke with eyes full of youthful vigor. Tine was momentarily taken aback, but quickly steeled herself and nodded forcefully. Please, wield your power as you see fit. Even should my body and soul wither end? Tine began to say, but Gilgamesh cut her off in stern tone. No more foolish talk. You are free to offer your life to me, your king, but an immature soul such as yours would give me no comfort. Besides, if you wither and die too quickly, how will I fully enjoy myself with my friend? Or do you intend to force on me the labor of seeking out a new retainer with magical energy to rival your own? I didn't mean... Tine hurried to deny the accusation. The King of Heroes gave her a wry smile. If you wish to offer me your life, your soul may be worthy of it by the time this war is finished, the time I keep my appointment with my friend. Do that, and I shall bring a memory of you back to the throne with me. A memory that, in this war, there was no one who merited the title of loyal retainer. Consider it an honor equal to becoming a citizen of Uruk. I'll do my best. Realizing that she had unconsciously raised her voice, Tine hurriedly moderated her tone. My humble apologies. As I am now, the horsewoman refused to even acknowledge me as an enemy. Gilgamesh appeared confused by Tine's self-flagellating tone. If the equestrian scorn concerns you, that is hubris, the King of Heroes announced with a fearless grin. He must have guessed Tine's discomfiture. Whatever your resolve, before the strong, a child is but a child. Naturally, you are but a child in my eyes as well. But They would face a proud warrior with courtesy, regardless of their apparent age. But while you may have resolved, Tine, you cannot yet call yourself proud. Anyone can steel themselves in the face of certain death. Those who lack respect, however, will lack it even in their dotage. Tine was not certain she could ever possess such pride. Disregarding her anxiety, the King of Heroes drew a high-class bottle from the suite's wine cellar and brazenly continued as he drew the cork. In that sense, you are fortunate. You are my retainer, albeit temporarily. In but a few days, you will be able to boast that you are privileged to serve the greatest and only king, and to burn my glory into your memory. But then, being king, I would not know the feelings of a proud warrior. Tine's feelings on her king's proclamation of single-minded egoism had gone beyond exasperation. She did not fully understand him, but she was impressed that he seemed to genuinely believe that the world belonged to him. She remained unaware that her senses were gradually numbing. Suddenly, recalling a question that had been worrying her, she decided to risk asking the King of Heroes. With all due respect, Your Majesty, May I ask by what means you triumphed in the Fourth Fuyuki Holy Grail War as a small part of your glory? King of Heroes grinned broadly and then leisurely sipped his wine. Oh, you realize, Tine, that only I could answer that question? Under this Fuyuki system, one does not retain memories of the times one has been summoned elsewhere, even if they are in the past. There is no concept of past or future in the throne. Taking in all of a heroic spirit's memories would create contradictions, such as knowing the outcome of a Grail War they were currently participating in. Oh my god, I never considered that. Yeah, okay, I get it. Their memories were therefore adjusted to match the time and place to which they were summoned. It may be a desperate measure on the part of the throne to curb the world's contradictions, even if only slightly, but it is a wasted effort in the face of my eyes, which can see all futures. Analogizing the past based on a future of a different phase is a simple matter. The King of Heroes stared confidently into empty space and endeavored himself on a different phase, but... Splash. Oh my god. This can't be right. Fishing? No. Oh my god, he looked at Hollow Ataraxia. That's so good. He appeared briefly troubled and mystified. How odd. As soon as I turned my gaze to the phases around and I was summoned to this Fuyuki, the mud I saw today clouds my eyes. He seemed, however, to not particularly mind. After a sip of wine, he shrugged his shoulders. Well, no matter. If this grail is genuine, I shall use the magical energy it contains to wash the mud away. In exchange, I shall tell you the tale of how I built the walls of Uruk in full. Tine subsequently learned a veritable mountain of facts she wished she had never heard about a city called Uruk, but that is another story. Evening. Snowfield Central Hospital. In a central snowfield, there is a gigantic white building. At first glance, it could be taken for an art museum, but it was the city's largest and best-equipped hospital, a fortress of hope whose doors numerous patients knocked seeking treatments ranging from surgery to psychosomatic medicine, or so it should have been. At present, the reception desk was in chaos in the waves of patients that kept pouring in, escorted by their families. I'm telling you, there's something wrong with my husband. One moment he's heading off to Las Vegas for work, the next he's back and going on about how he's never leaving the city again. It's not normal. It's crazy. One of our guys went out to Indian Springs on a delivery, but he came right back without doing the job. We sent another and he did the same thing. Oh no, the people are noticing this. The only commonality between all the cases was that every person who tried to leave the city suddenly returned. Their families brought them in, fearing some kind of mental illness. Faced with the sudden influx of similar patients, the hospital suspected that something unprecedented was taking place. They were currently holding an emergency meeting to devise countermeasures. Oh, doctor, is anything wrong? A young female nurse called out to an aged physician who had already finished his shift. They were walking in an inner ward of the hospital, slightly removed from the chaos. No, I forgot something in a patient's room. Oh, I see. I hear the front entrance is a mess right now, so take care. I will, thank you. The old doctor waited until he was certain the woman was gone. The next, his form had changed into that of the nurse who he had just been speaking to. How's it going, Jack? The nurses, that is, the disguised berserker's brain, picked up a telepathic communication from his master, Flat. Let's go with his normal voice for this. No problems here. I've obtained a pass card to proceed deeper inside, so you can rest easy. Berserker had changed into the nurse completely, including the barcode-style card hanging around her neck. He continued further into the hospital, morphing into the people he passed in the halls and gathering information as he went. Is this the right direction? He asked, back in the form of the original old doctor. Can you actually see what I see? Yeah, sort of. Let me see. The fog is thickest up those stairs. Understood. I will proceed with caution. Jack nodded emphatically. I think there's too much italics here, but that's fine. Be careful when you transform repeatedly, okay? Flat added, sounding as if he had just remembered something. If you end up looking like you're going to catch a cold like you did earlier, I don't think you'll be able to avoid standing out. Indeed. I merely attempted to transform into an ordinary girl. I cannot imagine why I ended up dressed like that with my Thighs and belly showing. Okay. Before infiltrate... Wait. Oh, wait. Are you talking about... Oh, I think he's straight talking about, like, Apocrypha. Before infiltrating the hospital, Jack had practiced morphing into various forms in the motel room in order to find the least suspicious appearance possible. When he tried changing into a 10-year-old girl, however, he ended up in a somewhat black outfit that resembled a bathing suit. Oh! As a result, Flat ran around in a panic, shouting that if anyone saw them, they would immediately call the police and his life would be over, and he covered Jack with a blanket. Oh my god, based? He'd eventually calmed down, but the cause remained unknown. Well, I don't get to see you lose your cool for once, so consider it I did get to see you lose your cool for once, so I consider it a success. Please don't do it again, I mean it. Berserker heaved a telepathic sigh and braced himself as he turned to look up the stairs. I can't see anything. I still can't see anything. Still, if my master says it's there, I suppose it must be. Berserker was infiltrating the hospital in order to locate the source of the fog that blanketed the city. At the motel, Flat had claimed that he could see something like a mist of mana covering the whole city. Even when he transformed into a mage, however... Oh my god, could he transform into a mage and use magic? I didn't even consider that. Berserker had not been able to sense anything out of the ordinary. It seemed that Flat, however, could see these alien currents. This isn't ordinary mana, he declared with an uncharacteristic seriousness. How could I describe it? It's like if every drop of drizzle was an independent living thing, or if the town was covered in a swarm of tiny locusts. At the state level it's at right now, instruments for measuring magical energy won't register anything. If the fog gets about 2 degrees thicker, though, I think mages with sharp senses will start to notice it. Even right now, a very perceptive heroic spirit or something that perceives things differently from humans, like a hematophage, could probably sense it. I don't know what that word is. What is that? Hematophage. People or creatures who subsist on blood. Oh, he just means a vampire, probably. Right? Flat then dispatched a familiar and observed the city by sharing its senses. As a result, he had learned that the mist around Snowfield Central Hospital was slightly thicker than anywhere else. I'm going to use this time to take a quick sip of my tea. Yeah, I need some magical energy myself. All right. Jack had suggested sneaking inside in spirit form. While immaterial, however, he would be completely defenseless against magical attacks and risk sustaining lethal damage if he encountered any sort of trap. They had therefore decided that Jack would use his own idiosyncrasy to transform into someone affiliated with the hospital and infiltrate it while materialized. When push comes to shove, don't hesitate to run. When the situation's critical, when it's really critical, I'll use a command spell to pull you out. Flat sounded determined. Master, Berserker asked, you just thought you want me to escape on my own if possible because you don't want to lose such a cool-looking command seal, didn't you? Yes, I did. Sorry. Honesty is a virtue, but there are times when a white lie would be preferable. As the exasperated Berserker continued to advance cautiously, his eyes lighted on the word Special Isolation Ward. It appeared to be a facility for quarantining patients with unusual infectious diseases. Entering or leaving it required passing through a decontamination room. What can it mean? What could it mean? Perhaps one of the doctors here is a master and they're using this place to keep the servant isolated? Jack's musings were interrupted by the sound of someone emerging from the decontamination room. He quickly changed into the form of the nurse he had seen leaving this ward. A moment later, a woman doctor stepped out of the corridor. Oh, didn't you go home already? I'm sorry, I forgot something and... I see. I wonder if they're still swamped over in psychosomatic medicine. It's just been one thing after another. The pipeline explosion in the desert, the terror attack on the police station, the tornado this afternoon, etc. And I'm sure a lot of people must be in shock. The doctor, who was apparently trying to consider the situation rationally, gave a self-deprecating head shake of her head before continuing. My little sister works at the police station, so I was out of my mind until I heard from her this morning. Still, it's not all bad. Little Tsubaki's very stable today. If her condition stays like this, she might even regain consciousness one of these days. Oh, really? That's great. Berserker did his best to follow the conversation. He could not instantly copy memories. Yes, I thought it was somebody's idea of a joke when we first— Oh my god, it's getting explained. Oh, this is good, this is good. I thought it was somebody's idea of a joke when we first found that weird tattoo on her hand, but now I wonder if the legendary's protectors of the land might have given her a good luck charm. Those wacky natives! Really? Oh, sorry. Here I am, a doctor, going on about silly things like that. The doctor laughed to cover up the awkward moment, then walked off. Once Berserker had seen her descend the stairs, he stepped into the decontamination room and— Can you hear that? Could you hear that, Master? Even over telepathy— Oh, never mind. It's gonna be the female voice. Got it. Thank you for telling me. Berserker's voice was female to match his appearance. Yes, Flat answered, and right now I can see it. It's settled then. I'm almost positive that this master called Tsubaki and her servant are here. Yeah, but I think you'd better head back for now. If this was a video game, it would definitely be asking you if you want to save right about now. That's— Oh, he's so smart! I concur. My apologies, but I have no desire to proceed further without making preparations. Flat's senses weren't alone this time. Transforming into an ordinary person had significantly lowered Berserker's abilities as a heroic spirit, but he could feel it too. A dense, ominous aura was swirling around the door that led from the decontamination room to the sick room. If the stuff that spread into the hallways through the decontamination room is a black fog of magical energy, then what I can see in the entrance— Oh wait, no, this is him. If the stuff that spread into the hallways through the decontamination room is a black fog of magical energy, then what I can see in the entrance to that room is part of a giant waterfall. Berserker could not see that clearly, but although his true identity was unknown, he had manifested as a killer, and his killer instincts were raising an alarm. They were warning him that the sick room was filled with the same air that must have surrounded him in the fogs of London. They were warning him that ahead was death itself. I can probably manage if I use my noble phantasm, but I can't say for certain. Using bombs to destroy the entire hospital might be better. Whoa, we can't do that! We don't know if the Master's a friend, an enemy, or a fiend. If he can say that in a Holy Grail war, he must be really lacking something a mage needs, or perhaps I should say that he has something a mage needs to lack. Well, probably just the attitude that brought him together with that wonderful professor of his. Berserker sighed and turned on his heels. Understood. He made a point to remember the letters on the nameplate beside the entrance. Tsubaki Kuruoka. If I did that, I wouldn't be a killer anymore. I'd be something else. And here we are. We're in the sick room. Inside Kuruoka Tsubaki's sick room. Oh, why is she here? It looks like someone, no, something, was just outside. Oh, Jester Karcher, still in the form of a young boy, muttered, as if to the girl lying before him. Still, when I follow the disease that's eating into people to its source, I never expected its master to be a dying girl, the boy muttered to himself as he stared at the command seals on Kuruoka Tsubaki's hands. He must have somehow snuck into the sick room after concealing his vampiric face and powers. Yes, it's still too soon. Just a little longer, until the curse of the servant possessing this girl is ripe. Jester continued his ominous musings with an ecstatic grin. Ah, I wonder what my dear Miss Assassin will do when she finds out about this child. Once she learns this girl might kill innocent townspeople just by being alive. If I use this girl right, I might just make Miss Assassin cry. Snowfield Central Church. Oh man, what a screw-up. I can't believe we let that fiend escape. Hansa Cervantes, the overseer of the Holy Grail War, was in a room that he rented in the Central Church's residential wing. He stretched out a hand to a wine glass, brimming with jalapenos and jalokias. Oh my god, my dude. You are so Spanish. And after giving thanks to the Lord, began to snack on them. He's out of a wine glass, he's eating jalapenos. That's awesome. His subordinates, the quartet, were currently in the pursuit of the vampire. Hansa himself was making preparations to sortie as they found the creature and, in the meantime, waiting for masters to call in search of an explanation from the overseer. The first was now coming to its end, however, and there had been no reports and no masters. The latter, of course, came as no surprise. This has been advertised as a Holy Grail war without the Holy Church. It was doubtful if any of the masters would ever call on him. I'm still expecting the losers to seek asylum, but either nobody's been eliminated yet, or they got killed, master and all. What should I say to make fun of that police chief if he shows up wanting protection for his whole crew? Hansa shrugged. On the TV, a documentary on the continued rise in missing persons case across the United States started playing. Over the past several years, there had been a steady increase in the number of people who are reported missing and remain missing for more than a year. If you look at this graph, you can see that this year continues the gradual upward. Faced with the missing persons figures displayed matter-of-factly on the TV screen, Hansa frowned slightly. Another increase. How many of those people fall victims to vampires and other monstrosities? There was no expression on Hansa's face as he reached out, took another hot pepper and bit down on it hard with the molars that had been fitted with a variety of consecrated tools. His molars are consecrated! I remember parts of him where I don't remember if they told us about the molars before. He had no idea that vampires had nothing to do with the increase in missing persons. Neither did people running away from home or fleeing to other countries. He did not know that a mage, full of pure malice, was behind it all. Industrial District, underground workshop. There was a mountain of mana crystals piled up in the corner of the room. Alcades could sense the high-density magical energy packed into every single one. With that amount, he emotionlessly declared, I could fight for half a day at full power without difficulty. That's half a day? Are you dissatisfied? It is true that it might take longer than that to settle things with the Golden King. No, that will suffice. As he spoke, Basilot unrolled a map on his desk and showed it to Alcades. After he lifted several layers of concealment, several glowing red points appeared on what appeared to be a normal map of the industrial district. If that's enough to sustain you for half a day. The red lights indicated industrial fuel tanks, water tanks, and huge gas tanks shaped like giant cylinders crowned with hemispheres. If I put together everything I prepared for this war, you should be able to fight continuously at full strength for several months. Oh my goodness! When he heard those words, Alcades understood. The various tanks indicated on the map were all fakes, designed to keep up appearances. Inside, they were vaults full of mana crystals. Oh my god, how many people have you been killing? They were vaults full of mana crystals identical to those in the workshop. To produce such quantity, how many people have you sacrificed to this contraption? The question was meant sarcastically. He realized that there must have been too many victims to count. Basilot, however, answered without batting an eyelash. Oh, just 24,966 people. Is that enough to shock you? It's only about half the number the South American drug cartels have killed in the past few years. No, I was just merely surprised that you keep the exact figure in your brain. Do I seem to be so irresponsible with human lives to you? Were Basilot's words genuine, or was he making a black joke? Not even Alcades could gauge his master's true intent by his eyes. The man was like a killing machine. Sacrificing that many people in total secrecy is no mean feat. It was nothing. It's not as though I was able to abduct several dozen people from in and outside my country a day on my own. It was my connections with my master, Galvaroso Scladio, that made everything possible. Basilot let out a short breath and continued dispassionately. The more massive the Scladio family grows, the more enemies it has. They're going to eliminate their enemies anyway. Their lives should serve a practical purpose. Basilot then narrowed his eyes and spit out what could have been taken for self-criticism. Although, I was only able to extract dregs from today's 36. Because I killed them first. Oh, he doesn't kill them. Okay. The Colesman's Special Correction Facilitator in Faldius' workshop in his room surrounded by puppets. Faldius was thinking. Basilot is dangerous. No, it's not quite accurate. The real danger is the Scladio family. If Basilot wins this war, Scladio will be unstoppable. Once the combination of the mud and crystals spreads to the Scladio family's other mages, they'll become even more powerful than they already are. If that happens, there'll be a check on the clock tower in the Holy Church, but government control will no longer be possible. Having gone over his various concerns, Faldius made a decision. I'll arrange for Baz-Delot to disappear during this Grail War, but that alone won't be enough. There's no one else here, he murmured. I'd like to speak directly. Will you agree to that, assassin? Every light in the room went out. All about him, darkness ruled. It was a different quality from ordinary darkness. Faldius felt a pressure, as if the shadows around him were living, crawling things. A shiver ran down his spine. Before he had a chance to activate a night vision spell, a voice called out to him from behind. Speak that which troubles thee. Assassin's way of speaking was indirect. Faldius broke out in a cold sweat and clenched his fists. It would mean leaving this city, but there is a person that I want you to deal with in a way that looks like an accident or natural causes. A man who is always protected by several mages, and who we cannot assassinate by ordinary means at our disposal. His name is... As Faldius was about to speak the target's name, the pressure of the darkness increased. Set foot on this path, and thou may not turn back. Is this... I can't tell if this is meant to be... If this is first Hassan, or if this is... Because this almost sounds like, from the way it's speaking, it sounds like first Hassan, right? I kind of almost want to look... You know what? I just kind of want to be careful. I'm going to go... Faldius Deoland. I just want to check which is his servant there. I know it's probably a bad idea to do it. Let's see here. Just want to see. I'm not reading. I'm not reading, and you should either. Okay. Hassan of the Fathomless Rift. Okay, this is a different Hassan. Okay, it's not first. Got it. Sounds good. Let's see here. Set foot on this path, and thou may not turn back. Have thou faith worthy of ending a human life? The servant asked his master for a final confirmation. Know that thy faith, should thy faith ever prove false, the curse will rebound upon thee and devour thee whole. If thou art prepared, speak the name of thy calamity. Faldius felt that not only the mystic parts of him, his magic circuits, his crests, his command seals, but even his heart and blood vessels had frozen solid. Even so, he said the name, Galvarosos Gladio. The first man you will kill is not a mage or a heroic spirit. He is an ordinary human. If he lacked his mystical protection, I could kill him easily myself. Oh no, that's him saying it. Okay. I was like, wait, what? The first man you kill is not a mage or a heroic spirit. He's an ordinary human. He lacks mystical protection. I could easily kill him myself. Oh, we're back at the clock tower. Okay. Same time at the clock tower. In the office at the clock tower, Lord Elmoy II was worried. Outwardly, he had been planning to set out for Snowfield immediately, and at the very least bring his wayward pupil back with him. An unexpected interruption had, however, stopped him in his tracks. Adashino of the Department of Justice Administration had personally handed him a written request. It read, bearing in mind the circumstances attendant on the loss of Kenneth Elmaloy Archibald, an important member of the clock tower staff, lords are forbidden from travel to Snowfield. Oh, okay. Which had been designated special danger area. Whatever Adashino called it, it was clearly an order. Lord Elmoy II had been forced to a sudden halt in the middle of preparing mystic codes for his expedition. He had half expected it and could muster no great anger. Still, Justice Administration's response was too fast. The Department of Justice Administration had made use of all its connections to ensure that Elmoy II would be unable to travel to the scene of the Grail War. They were presumably concerned that he might choose to ignore the request. He had already confirmed several lookouts outside, and he lacked the skill to force his way past them. As a worst-case scenario, I should consider the possibility that the masterminds of Snowfield have ties to Justice Administration at the Clock Tower. Now, if that was the case, Justice Administration would have tried to pressure me into going in advance. They would have wanted me to analyze the Grail War. A little knock on the door interrupted his mental soliloquizing. Soliloquizing? Sure, that's a word. He opened it, and Rongal the puppeteer entered, accompanied by the same disciple as the day before. Excuse us, are you in better health today, your lordship? Yes. I'm sorry you had to see that, but it appears you're in a hurry. Do you have more news information? Yes, as a matter of fact, actually it was my pupil here who discovered it. It's already begun to be rumored among the clock tower's younger residents, and you will probably be more widely known tomorrow, but I thought I'd better tell your lordship first. Almoy II looked quizzical. The boy disciple timidly handed him a notebook computer. When he opened it, the screen displayed a page of what could justifiably call the world's most popular video sharing site. Oh my god, it's literally YouTube. It had been acquired several years previously by the operators of a major search engine. Oh my god, YouTube confirmed. I tried privately searching the local news sites and things like that, in case any of them had more information about what happened yesterday. Then I found this rock band called Snow Smoke that plays in Snowfield. They uploaded that video. Could someone have recorded the arrest from a different angle? Almoy II frowned at the screen. A moment later, a small grunt of surprise escaped his throat. On the screen was an image of the same heroic spirit who was supposed to have been arrested, skillfully strumming a guitar in a jam session with the band members. Heroic spirit transmitted a video? Well, it was the band that uploaded it, so he didn't distribute it himself. More importantly, what is this heroic spirit doing? What possible plan could lead him to act like this? Almoy II attempted to analyze the heroic spirit's actions after his own fashion, all the while thinking that the man played the guitar oddly well. His musings, however, were cut short by Rongal's apprentice pointing at the screen. There, look in the corner of the screen! Almoy II looked and saw a girl with distinctive glasses and bleached blonde hair. His frown deepened as a single word escaped his lips. Seijo. Wait. You know her? That's strange. Huh. That's really weird. In the forest. Hey. Aika called out to Saber as they moved through the woods. What is it? Sorry for earlier. Did you do anything to apologize for? Saber seemed genuinely mystified. Aika dropped her gaze. Yelling at you, pulling your hair, forcing my selfishness on you. You really do worry about trifles, Ayaka. If it will clear your conscience, however, I will accept your apology. I will also apologize to you for using you as a pretext to propose in lines without considering your feelings. Ayaka, faced with the genuinely contrite king, looked away as she answered. There's really nothing to be sorry about. The clock tower. Oh, so it is true. Almaloy II turned to look at Rongal. The scarecrow-like puppeteer nodded awkwardly. As I was saying yesterday, your lordship, one of the association's people on the class claimed to have seen one of your disciples. Once again, Almoy II sensed an inconsistency in your conversation. The pupil they claimed to have seen, he asked Rongal, wasn't Flat then? Oh, whoa, okay. No, we heard about Flat later, but genius or not, surely your lordship would not dispatch a peaky lad like him as an advanced party. It was Seijo there they were talking about. Wait, what? Wait, I need a moment. Wait, what? Seijo Ayaka. Almoy II did indeed know a mage by that name. Several years ago, shortly before the Fifth Holy Grail War in Fuyuki, she had been a student, not fully an adult yet, and had attended his classes for about— Oh, whoa, okay. Whoa. She was part of his classes before the Fifth Grail War? If Almoy II had been an ordinary lecturer, they would have both probably forgotten each other's faces after such a brief acquaintance. Due to Almoy II's methodical personality, the fact she had come to him for advice concerning witchcraft, her unwilling involvement in the time Flat had deciphered the Voynich manuscript— Is she in? I don't think she's in. I'm pretty sure she's not in the Almaloy novels. I don't think so. And the circumstances surrounding her older sister. Boy, I want to read more about those. They had kept in contact still. Oh my god, what the frick? Does this just mean that prototype is, like, kinda canon? Oh my god. What does it all mean? I'm sorry. There's something I want to think on. Would you mind calling again later? Thank you very much for this information. Elmoy II expressed his thanks to Rongul and his disciple, who gave each other quizzical looks. Once they left the room, he took out his cell phone. Then, with a practiced manner, he quickly typed out and sent an email. It read, "When you see this, I want you to call me immediately. I have an urgent question for you." The recipient's name was Ayaka Seijo. Interesting. Somewhere in Snowfield. What's that strange sound? Saber instinctively looked around at the abrupt sound of Ayaka's phone, alerting her that she had mail. The pair of them were on their way to their next objective. My cell phone. Looks like someone just messaged me. Ayaka flipped open her phone and frowned as she read a message. Oh, so that's a modern letter. If it's a love letter, I shall avert my eyes. Read all you want. It's nothing like that. The message displayed on her cell phone screen was signed Philia in Japanese. Oh, Philia, like from Skullgirls? The real name of the white woman who had dragged her into this Holy Grail war. Oh, I've never heard of Philia. When Ayaka read the body of the message, expecting another unreasonable demand, all she could do was tilt her head in bewilderment. Philia's manner toward her had not changed since their meeting at the castle, but this email was different. It read like it was written by a different person. Oh, you must have had a rough time too. You're free now, so do whatever you feel like. Huh. A bit late for that. What does that even mean? What's wrong? Nothing. Oh, there's something I forgot to tell you. Ayaka shut her phone, deciding to think about it later. I won't tell you to mind your business anymore. I mean, I'm sure you'll do whatever you want anyway, whatever I try to say. But, she continued, sounding as though she was forcing herself to speak in order to convince herself as well as Saber. I'd like you to at least warn me before you do anything dangerous. I know I can't stop you, but I do want you to at least pause for a moment. It'd be a pain if you died, and I didn't get a chance to say thank you. Back at the clock tower. Thank you very much. I'll be in touch again when I know more. Elmoy II hung up his phone. The wrinkles on his brows were deeper than usual. What's going on? He muttered to himself. He took another look at the log of the call that came in response to his email. Wait. It was an international call from Romania, with Seijo Ayaka's phone number. Elmoy had already heard from that flat that she had gone to Romania on business. Wait, what? The person I spoke to on the phone just now was unmistakably Seijo Ayaka herself, and she was unmistakably in Romania. Rubbing his temples and remembering the girl he had seen in the video, the girl who, with the exception of her blonde hair, was Ayaka's exact duplicate, Elmoy II let out a groan. But if that's the case, who on earth is that woman in Snowfield? Oh my god, wait. Okay, so there is Ayaka Seijo with the black hair who exists, but then who is this? Oh no! Alright, what are we at? We're at 139. You know, I'm gonna take just a quick recording break. We'll be back in a second to continue reading. Okay, let's continue on with reading here with Prologue 4, The Star Performer's Feast, Part 2. I don't know what this is going to be about per se. Let's see here. In the dark. Time rewinds to just after Saber was arrested and made his speech in front of television cameras. Man, that was hilarious. The memory of a heroic spirit being let off by police made Francesca, burst into a fit of laughter until she collapsed in the center of her bed, wiping tears from her eyes. Eventually, she raised herself to a kneeling position, then crossed her legs and raised one hand. Well, it's about time for me to do my part as a mastermind. She snapped her fingers and the candles around her lit. Faint, flickering light illuminated the center of the room. It revealed a magic circle, identical to those the other masters had used to summon their own heroic spirits, on the floor of the luxurious bed. Only one detail separated it from the proper ritual. The fact that the canopied bed sat where the altar should be. Then, toying with a cookie she had produced from who knows where, Francesca began a rhythmical sing-song chant. A pinch of silver and a pinch of iron. Boil up the head clerk. That's Arte's beloved recipe. Arte? Huh. It was far removed from the incantation for summoning a heroic spirit. It sounded as if Francesca was mocking the Grail War itself. If anyone had heard her, they would have either burst into rage or scoffed that she could summon anything that way. Fill it up. Fill it till it spills. Bring together 5 closed wounds. The ridiculous chant tumbled rhythmically from her lips resembled that, the one of a certain homicidal maniac had once used in a real Holy Grail war to summon her best friend? I don't know which one that's referring to. There were still openings in the roster of heroic spirits. She was not trying to force the Grail to manifest an extra. It was true that such an incantation should have no chance of success, but Francesca had not even finished it before the magic circle began to glow. Oh! I offer you up my body. I offer you up my... Time's up, so I'll skip the rest. She had not put a powerful desire into her call like the Silver Wolf, nor had she bridged the gap with genius mystical interference like Flatus Gardos, and yet her summoning had succeeded. There was only one reason. The affinity of the heroic spirit to the catalyst she used to call it was extremely high, and that catalyst, enshrined atop its altar, the bed, was Francesca herself. Okay. The light of the summoning circle fainted, and there stood a boy. He looked around the same age as Francesca. His illustrious hair was neatly cut. His face would have been beautiful, except for something indefinably sickly about his eyes. An instant later, the dim space where the summoning circle had been became a field of flowers. Flower? There's no way this is Merlin. Became a field of flowers as far as the eye could see. In its center, the boy heroic servant made a reverent, exaggerated bow without looking at Francesca's face. Then he flung his arms wide and shouted, "Ha ha! My new master must be quite the eccentric to summon me. Very well, I don't know what you expect of me, but I won't make you regret it. I'll lift you up to the heaven with a dream of bliss, then drop you all the way down to hell with a bewitching, scorching nightmare. Am I right?" The grinning Francesca called out from the seat at the center of her bed. Oh, what's this? The heroic spirit muttered inquisitively, looking confused. Francesca's words to him were exactly what he had been about to say to her. And once you've said that, you'll turn all these flowers into human children's arms. Wait, what? Oh my god, wait, what? Have you maybe summoned me before? If so, I'm shocked you're still alive. To summon me twice, your brains must be... The boy started up, then he realized who the girl mage in front of him really was. What? No way, really? Really? When do your memories from when you were alive stop? They go up to the time I was executed, but more importantly, what are you up to? Who is this? A Holy Grail War, of course. I've already messed with its guts, so I can't even tell if it's real or fake. As he listened to Francesca's explanation, a look of delight gradually stole across the face of the heroic spirit in the form of the boy. At last he burst into peals of wild laughter. As he cackled, the whole field of flowers turned into children's arms growing from the ground. Gross. Pairs of adjacent hands clapped together as if to celebrate, the boy and the girl surrounding them with a round of twisted applause. Are you crazy? The boy heroic spirit still shouted, still laughing and clutching his belly. You must be. Why would you ever do something like that? You must be out of your mind. The boy cavorted, cackling as if he had gone mad. He spun, leapt onto Francesca's bed and down beside her, and opened up one of the bags of snacks that strewn about. Then he familiarly rubbed his shoulders against Francesca's and began to munch on the bag's contents. Wait, me summoning me? Me summoning me? What an awful joke. Wait, what? Self-summoning? What? These are delicious. This is what modern snacks are like. What an incredible age. Isn't it? Anyways, I was the catalyst. I was 90% sure I'd get me, although I did hope that maybe, just maybe, Gilles would show up. Oh, come on. Gilles would never show up for a Grail War. As a matter of fact, he did. Gilles, I could only watch from a distance thanks to the descendants of that bug tamer from Kiev, but he really was there. He was in the throne, you know. Gilles. That's amazing. What was his class? Saber Rider? Nope. Caster. How? I mean, Gilles a caster? Oh. Because of me. Okay. I think... Is this the owner of Gilles' spellbook? Prevladi or something? Is that who Francesca is? The original Prevladi? Oh yeah, you did just straight summon yourself. What the frick? Okay. Horrifying. Okay. Let's see here. When the pair had finished entertaining each other with a conversation only they could understand, Francesca's face suddenly grew serious. So you see, she addressed the heroic spirit sitting beside her, I'm pretty serious. I decided to rush the schedule and hold a Holy Grail war I can have my way with in the city, and I got all sorts of people and countries mixed up in it. Why didn't you summon Gilles then? Although I guess it'd be hard to survive a Grail war with him. Francesca answered the obvious question with a little shake of her head. Well, we can take our time talking about that later. Before that, we've got to seal our initial contract. Oh, you're right. Completely slipped my mind. Speaking of which, if you do get the Grail, what will you use it for? Of course, I could pretty much guess. I'm pretty sure you guessed right. I see. It's true that you need something on the level of the Grail to capture that labyrinth. Oh no, we gotta get to Fate Labyrinth! Oh boy. The boy sprang up from the bed, moved to the center of the summoning circle, then turned to face Francesca and made a respectful bow. I ask you, are you the arrogant, foolish princess who wants to enslave me in your quest for the Holy Grail? Or for endless pleasures and nightmares? Yep, absolutely. A chorus of agonized cries sounded from beneath the ground, and the children's arms growing around them burst into flames. In the blink of an eye, they were bleached skeletons. Then they crumbled to ash, and the ash swirled in the gloom, and the heroic spirit loudly declared the contract was formed. Behold, the pledge is made! The boy spread his arms amidst the dust and sang out his name at the top of his voice. Yeah, there we go. My name is Francois Prelati. Then, with an innocent smile, he continued the formula of the contract. As the loyal servant of my master, Francesca Francois. Okay. I'm also going to be real. Can I just be honest here? Part of me was always like, is Francesca a dude? I kind of felt it. And it kind of is. I guess it's kind of zoomed in so you can't see the snacks he's eating. I kind of felt it just from how she kind of was written. But they also call her an old hag. Well, that explains the old hag thing, but yeah, interesting. As the loyal servant of my master, Francois. Oops, you're in a girl's body. Okay. You're in a girl's body now. Francesca Prelati. I swear to risk my life to guide you to the Holy Grail. I also swear to risk my soul to win through the Holy Grail war fair and square, so that you may obtain the Holy Grail in its righteous glory. Then the boy and girl's smiles turned sly. Francois and Francesca continued in perfect unison. Just kidding. I guess you could just summon yourself, huh? That's ridiculous. That's stupid. That's also ridiculous, but that means that at some point they have to die, right? But I guess that could just be in the future. The same time, Snowfield, under a thermal power station. Around the same time, Francesca was summoning herself. I mean, that just sounds like a euphemism. Summoning herself in the city. Haruri, a mage specializing in witchcraft, had been trying to summon the true berserker, was dying underneath one of its several thermal power stations. How did things end up like this again? Seeing the color of blood in the corner of her glazed eyes, she concluded that she was going to die soon. Healing magecraft was one of her specialties, but her magical energy was almost exhausted. She was certain her preparations to summon Berserker had been perfect. She was also certain that her summoning had actually succeeded. The problem was that the Berserker she had summoned had gone on a rampage, before she had a chance to make her contract. She had taken the full force of one of its blows. Still, I guess I'm satisfied. It seems stronger than I expected. She could dimly see the heroic spirit she had summoned. It looked bizarre. It appeared to be pacing around the room on all fours. Each step it took produced harsh mechanical sounds. Incandescent light blazed in its eyes. The groans that occasionally emanated from it sounded distorted like a record played with a rusty needle. Oh, what is this? I poured plenty of my magical energy into you, and you should be able to get an alternate power source from the station, so you'll be able to rampage to your heart's content. Haruri could not suppress a wry smile as she watched the rusted thing approach her. Although I bet you hate using your energy, the energy your rival Nikola Tesla made. Wait, what the frick? Wait. There's no way Edison is a different form. Wait! That's maybe why it's out of control. It was right in front of her. The ghastly heroic spirit looked nothing so much like a robot with a motif of a four-legged spider or a grotesque lion. Oh my god. Is this freaking Edison Alter? What are we doing? Oh my god. But it's strange. Even as a berserker, I expected him to look more human. Could Mazda's influence have something to do with it? Like the car maker? Okay. I knew I should have summoned him as a caster and not let Francesca have it. It was too late. Haruri, however, did not fear death. She specialized in witchcraft, but she had always used her own blood for her sacrificial medium. She had even drawn her own summoning circle in her own blood. She needed to shed a very nearly dangerous amount of it, but she had taken her time, occasionally giving herself a transfusion from the blood packet she had prepared in advance for the purpose and using healing magecraft to stimulate blood formation. If the thing she had summoned as a result was going to kill her, then this was as far as she could go. Haruri smiled derisively at herself as she slowly stretched out a hand toward the heroic spirit. All right. I'll sacrifice myself to you. She had only one wish for the Grail, revenge against the magical society that had taken everything from her people. She did not care if it was the Clock Tower, the Atlas Institute, or even the unauthorized mage circles that dotted the globe. She simply felt that nothing could be more ironic than bringing to them ruin through machinery, industry, or any other overpowering energy distant from magecraft. Maybe it serves me right for trying to use the Grail for something so petty. Come on, kill me. In exchange, go on living however you want as long as you exist. Show the whole world what you are. Make their secrecy pointless. Haruri put the last of her willpower into the declaration. Once she had made it, it did not matter to her where she was killed. She resolved to wait for the heroic spirit to strike. What actually descended on her, however, was an unfamiliar woman's voice. You've got a weird way of struggling. Haruri instinctively opened her eyes, which had been shut. Before her stood a breathtakingly beautiful woman with unnaturally white skin. An Einspurn homunculus? She'd heard that one was in the city and assumed it was after her master's position. Still, she had never expected it to appear here. She had been sure the site of her summoning was completely secret. I really must be paying for my sins. I've always been careful to only use myself as a sacrifice, but once I got here, I didn't care what happened to the townspeople, and it made my magecraft impure. She decided that if she was going to be killed either way, it did not make much difference if it was by the Einspurn homunculus or the heroic spirit. Then she noticed something strange. What? Her wounds were closing, her vision was clearing. She did not remember casting a healing spell. In the first place, her magical energy was running dry, so she could not have done it even if she wanted to. Haruri was baffled, and then what the white woman said next only baffled her more. She turned to the berserker beside her and addressed it as if it was her pet dog. Come on, that girl's your master. Now hurry up and make a contract. What in the world? Pain receded and confusion took place in Haruri's brain. She had not yet formed a contract, but the rights of a master were still hers. She barely had time to think that no berserker would ever listen to a mage who did not even have command seals. However, before another one of her notions crumbled, protect. Berserker did as the white woman said and bowed its head in a show of obedience to the fallen Haruhi. Good boy. That's it. I'll tie your meridians to her for you. An instant later, the paths of magical energy linked them, and the heroic spirit sensations reached Haruri through her command seals. And that was when she realized the berserker she had summoned was afraid of the white woman. Who are you? Still, the white woman continued, ignoring Haruri's question. You're lucky a vessel this easy to enter just happened to be here. Wait, what? She stared at her own hands and feet, and then nodded, apparently impressed. Next, she turned to look at the confused-looking Haruri and slowly reached out a hand to touch Haruri's cheek. That was when Haruri realized that the power flowing into her through the woman's hand did not belong in this world. Wait, what? Impossible, but she's not even a heroic spirit. No, even for a heroic spirit with such concentrated power is... The white woman, or more accurately, the thing inside the white woman, must have sensed Haruri's fear. Don't worry, she smiled confidently. I may not look like it, but I'm fond of humans. Is there going to be a divine power in her, like a divine spirit? There was a warmth in her words, but they seemed to come from such a height that none of it reached Haruri. Now that I'm here, I'll be sure to rule you properly. At that point, the mechanical doll that was supposed to be Haruri's servant let out a roar, as if to show its approval, as if in praise of the white woman. What? Haruri had been released from the fear of death, but another fear had taken its place. She did not yet know that the thing that had taken up residence in the Einsburn homunculus due to the influence of the catalyst she had prepared truly was. Oh no. Thus, the players were assembled on the stage of Snowfield. Oh, this is everyone now. Every one of them was a spectator, every one of them a critic, and each and every one of them was a performer. With the exception of one boy who had yet to make the jump from the interlude to the stage, one boy the Grail had yet to assign a part. Wait, who's this? We're going to finish up. There's only like 10 pages left. Interlude, the trial begins. Okay, wait, right, Sigma, right? Is that who it is? Let's see here. Trials begin, rather. Sigma did not remember the moment he had become a child soldier. It was how he had lived as far back as he could remember. He had been forced to fire a gun when he was barely 5 years old, enduring the further mental and physical pain caused by strange magical experiments for purposes he did not understand. The would-be mages had created a unit to carry out magical warfare against enemy nations. He was apparently one of the soldiers created for that purpose. Here that they gathered other soldiers with similarly elementary attainments in magecraft. Soldiers who, either through random chance or through distant relations to mages, possessed magic circuits. Oh, and forced them to have sexual intercourse with female soldiers. Oh, of course, who likewise possessed magic circuits, even if only a few. Okay, well, sure. Of the resulting children, they had collected 24 whose magic circuits were of a suitable level and assigned them Greek letters as code names. A small, nameless special forces unit, whose existence was unknown even to the people of the nation it served. It had been created with the idea of employing unusual abilities to inflict damage on enemy nations with no regard for secrecy. Mages, primarily the Clock Tower, had gotten wind of it in advance and crushed it along with the teetering dictatorship. Sigma had only learned of his precise roots after he had been released from the former government. It hardly mattered to him whether they were true or false. A woman had given birth in the natural course of events without acquiring a knowledge of magecraft. The child had been taken from her before she had a chance to name it, and set it on the path of a tool of the state. On the basis of his experience as a child soldier, he had become a mercenary who used magecraft. That, however, had only been a matter of doing what his employer told him to do. It was not worth mentioning. I really don't think there's anything else to tell. You make it sound ordinary, but you realize it's quite a hard life, objectively speaking. Sigma tried explaining what kind of person he was in order to establish communication with beings that called themselves shadows. When he re-examined himself, however, he was forced to acknowledge that he had spent his life only doing what others forced on him. The fact that the realization did not make him feel empty made him think he really might be a little odd. Still, there was nothing he could do at this point. What happened to your mother? The boy with the snake staff asked. I don't know if it's the truth, but I'm told in a Grail War in the Far East. She participated in a Grail War in the Far East as a mage's assistant and died. The mage was named Emiya Kiritsugu. Oh! Oh, you're the baby of Kiritsugu's sugar mama whose name I forget. Oh no! Oh! The one he cheats with! The one who he has a sexy time! Oh my god, wait, what? Yeah, I forget her name, but I remember her, and I know exactly, we know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. The fact you remember the mage's name clearly means you have some feelings on the matter. Does it? I wonder. I don't know anything about their relationship except she was his assistant. I don't even know my mother's name or what she looked like. I only know Emiya Kiritsugu's name because he's considered a legend among mercenaries who use magecraft. Oh my god, wait, could you imagine? Wait, there's no way, right? He had been a freelance mage of remarkable ability, known and feared by the nickname Mage Killer. He had completed dangerous missions one after another across the globe till the Einspurns had hired him. Sigma heard from his employer that the man had won through to the endgame of the Fourth Holy Grail War in Fuyuki, although Sigma's mother had supposedly lost her life in the process. So did that happen before then? Yeah, it must have. Only if my mother followed that man of her own free will. I'm a little jealous of her. Jealous? Whatever her feelings, my mother must have at least had seen a reason to live in that Emiya Kiritsugu man. I, on the other hand, had nothing. No one to respect and no one to want revenge on. Sigma spoke matter-of-factly. He sounded less like he was disparaging himself than he did like he was simply stating facts. Oh, you can make a reason to live, the captain told him. Get into enough scrapes, and you'll naturally find something to cling to. Fight your way through certain death, boy. Keep struggling against God. Never accept anything. It's on the other side of all that that's proof you're alive will be born. Fighting through certain death to find a reason to live was putting the cart before the horse. The captain could only talk that way because it was not his problem. Sigma thought and decided to ignore the advice. The captain, however, looked behind Sigma to the entrance of the room with a look of real enjoyment on his features. Look, boy, your first trial's already arrived. Sigma turned and saw a shadow standing there. To be precise, he saw a girl wrapped in shadowy black robes. Are you... Just as Sigma was about to take her for another one of the shadows, he noticed something out of place. So far, only a single shadow had appeared at a time. Now, however, he was certain that he had seen the captain and the girl at the same time. By the time Sigma realized that, it was already too late. In an instant, the girl assassin was right in front of him. In a voice stripped of emotion, she asked, Are you the mage who seeks the Holy Grail? From that moment on, Sigma was to walk into a series of unreasonable trials. Not trials that anyone demanded of him. Trials simply to learn who he was. With no way of knowing whether the self he obtained at the end of those trials would bring him glory or despair. Okay. Bridge. Alright, we got just a little bit left. One day in the city. Alright. One day in the city. Snowfield, an urban area. What am I looking at? Clutching his prosthetic right hand, the young man, a member of Clan Calatin, the special unit under the direction of the chief of police, gasped at the scene unfolding before his eyes. He saw a bowman with reddish-brown skin and a strange cloth hanging over his head. The heroic spirit was nothing like the assassin they had fought in the police station. He was simply unlike the monster that had been subsequently taken the man's right hand. It was equally, rather. He was simply strong. Even if they gained the full power of their noble phantasms, the young officer had no confidence that any of them would be of any use against the bowman. Oh, I see. The guy must be a real hero, the officer acknowledged. Then he gritted his teeth. This guy? The bastard who's wrecking the city and trying to kill a little kid? Several of his fellow Clan Calatin members already lay on the ground in front of him. If might makes right, then he supposed the bowman in front of him must be right. The officer's last shred of pride, however, would not allow him to accept that. It lit a flame of courage in his heart, and he gasped again. What am I looking at? He saw a police officer just like him. That officer, however, was not part of Clan Calatin. There was something strange about him. They're still fighting with that monster. Who the hell are they? He appeared and vanished and reappeared around the bowman. Time and again his body was mangled or pierced with arrows, but the same officer continued to challenge the heroic spirit. His attacks were doing no damage to the bowman. Nevertheless, they had been fighting ceaselessly for minutes. When that bizarre scene had gone on for a while, the bowman spoke gravely. Weakling, I would ask your name. The officer took a step back. I have no name, he replied, grinning broadly. Then there were two officers. He continued speaking with the same voice. What's happening? O great hero, you who live in the legends of the age of gods, changing your form with the times and accumulating great deeds. I, a humble criminal, so weak that a gust of wind could blow me away, have only one thing to say to you. The number of officers increased again. I am sure you have a reason for your resolve, the four officers surrounding the bowman declared. But if that resolve leads you to deny divine power, if you deny and discard all the deeds of the gods, good and ill alike. Oh, is this a god speaking to him? The 8 things had taken on a number of appearances in addition to police officers. Their voices echoed down the city street. However mighty you may be, you are now as you desired, human. 16 roars addressed the bowman's soul. O hero who has fallen into thuggery, I love that word, into humanity. However great a hero you may be, even if you have the power to destroy the world. 32 fearless grins hemmed in the bowman. The next moment they were vanishing, as if they were being absorbed back into the original one. So long as your essence is human, you'll be hunted by a powerless killer. Oh wait, this is Jack the Ripper. Oh. Okay. Then the police officer, the nameless berserker Jack the Ripper. This is interesting. This makes me think that Jack the Ripper is not just Jack the Ripper, right? This makes me think that Jack the Ripper is also something else, right? Because he's talking about the age of gods, right? Okay. Laying bare his own essence, he shouted his name of his noble phantasm, the trump card he played to end the great hero's life. From hell. In the midst of the disintegrating Grail War, a chain of battles silently began, almost as if hapless fate were speaking to the mages and heroic spirits. Weaklings challenge the strong. Next episode, Fate 4. All right. Oh, man. All right, so we got some profiles here. Avenger, True Archer. Yeah. All right, so we got Distortion, proof that Al-Qaeda was forcibly wrenched out of his class and given the characteristics of another. So independent action was reduced. Eye of the Mind, True. Insight lets him dodge, right? Valor, skill to brush aside glamour, confusion, other mental interference, boost combat capabilities. As a side effect of command skills being used to extract the divine curse, skills weakened. Battle continuation, yep, still strong. Anti-magic and all that. I see more noble phantasms down there. That's concerning. 12 glories, King's Order. Numerous proofs of overcoming the trials, able to materialize noble yeah, okay, he gets them all. Yep, sounds good. Right, Divine Beast, the War God's Bell, to use them as tools. He is, however, twisting the reason of the Holy Grail in order to make use of them. He used a lot of magical energy. Shooting the 100 heads, that's for when he shot the Hydra, right? Martial arts with handheld weapons or bare hands. Draws on the power of a weapon to its utmost limit. And some other EX rank one. True Rider. Yeah, we don't know your master. Yeah, Hippolyta there, right? Or Hippolyte. I'm going to say Hippolyta. Charisma. Divinity, right? Skill that indicates divine spirit affinity, kinship with the gods. Was a priestess of Artemis as well as a queen. In addition to being a child of the god Ares, and so is cloaked in powerful divinity, she did not reach the throne of gods after death. She falls short of rank A. War God's Belt, right? They have the same one. An aspect of Hippolyta's father, the war god Ares, remained in the form of sash. We don't know anything else. Afterwards, contains major stories for the main story. Finish after the book. Okay, but we're fine here. We're fine here. Okay. You don't need a blade to bring down a hero. It just takes 3 command seals, a lot of sacrifice and mud, and advanced magecraft to keep from going insane. It's actually a bigger hassle than getting a blade ready. Anyway, that's pretty much true archer's true identity. After conversation, I went something like this. Me, still, even if he has become blank, I doubt blank. Okay, even after he's become Avenger, I doubt Heracles would shoot a little kid like Tine, I think, maybe. Even in Fuyuki, when he was blackened, he came to his senses when he saw Ilya, right? Nasu, you shouldn't underestimate revenge, especially revenge on the gods. It's true that aiming his bow at a child is an absolute taboo for him, Ryogo, but he wouldn't have hoped of getting back at the gods if he wasn't prepared to break that taboo. Interesting, okay. I made up my mind to go ahead with it. By the way, do answer the problem of how he tailored that hide that human works don't penetrate. It has so little to do with the main plot of Fate, however. I don't know if I'll get a chance to explain it. I'll have to hope Fate does well enough to justify materials book in the future. With that, I rate Narita here. It's been a long time. The Fate smartphone game recently depicted a new aspect of Gil. Toyotomi Gil Yoshi, yep. And in the middle of worrying whether or not what I should do in Fate should reflect that. Yes, FGO, Fate Grand Order. FGO scriptwriters told me spoilers kill half the fun, so we're keeping all the little things secret. As a result, I got to enjoy FGO's 5th chapter set in the United States completely fresh. That policy also led to tragedy. The following is considered is condensed from the events that took place. What? Is it really okay to write about the blank in the 5th blank and fake? Yes, use it wisely. You can also use material about Dumas's novels. Me. Don't hold back. Write as much as you want. Okay. Yes. Nasu wearing a gas mask. Now announcing the Chateau Diff and FGO Chapter 5. Ah, it overlaps with plot points in fake. Dies in agony. Who knew you'd actually die? I don't know how many people will actually know about the elements the conversation was based on. That aside, Sanda-san, who watched the tragedy unfold from the sidelines, had a bad feeling was asked to be shown scripts for events in advance if characters in them overlapped. 2 weeks later, he screamed, "They overlap!" And I was forced to rework the entire second half of the Case Files plot. Okay, so Case Files did have to get rewritten. But that's another story. Anyway, you might think I'm being too insensitive about redundant plot elements. I probably am, but the fact is the story of FGO is too interesting. I want to add more excitement to Fake so I don't lose out. Speaking of Sanda-san, I've also seen him supervise the depiction of Magecraft. Gil's line here, a desperate measure on the part of the Grail to curb the world's contradictions, is about as unreasonable as saying a desperate measure on the part of the Earth to prevent humans from flying in space gravity. Doesn't that sound like something you'd say about the Earth? Oh, it does, right? Yeah, I like that there. And so, working through the sometimes fun, sometimes strict editorial oversight, we managed to put together a collection of real violations that we could only get away in a fake Holy Grail war that works differently from the one in Fuyuki. I hope that you can enjoy it with an open mind as one of the Holy Grail wars held in distant worlds that Da Vinci mentions in FGO. Francesca tinkered with the Holy Grail system a lot when she brought it to America, so there are things in Fake that would be categorically impossible to the Fuyuki Grail, and I'll appreciate it if you bear in mind that it's not the Fuyuki Grail war. Now, our full cast is finally in its place. In the book 4, I'm going to write about the Flat and the White Woman's pasts. I'm also going to finally add magic battles between masters, so I have a feeling there'll be a lot of ingredients for fighting. I'd like to show as many flowers blooming and scattering as possible, so please look forward to the next book. Try to guess True Berserker. Okay, True Berserker? I got that. And Watcher's True Identity? I don't know about Watcher. Right? I don't know about that. Book 4 will probably be published in the winter. I suspect the final day will be a combination of various machinations, with them and Mori-san, who's drawing the manga version. Every aspect of Mori's manga, from the battle, magnificent battle, lively expressions, is great. I don't like the manga too much, so I'll just keep reading this. My editor, Anan-san, who gave a lot of trouble with my deadlines. My Dura editor, Wada-san, right? And everyone in the editorial department, right? Sanda Makoto-san, Higashida Yuichiro-san, Sakurai Hikaru-san, Mashin Ichiro-san, Sanda Makoto-san. I think you said that name twice. Team Barrel Roll, who did the servant background research for me. Mori Shizuka-san, who produced wonderful illustrations. Takeuchi-san and Urabochi-gun-san, who honor me with comments on the rappers. Oh, cool. Especially Urabochi-san for giving me permission to use her son. Okay, I'll need to think about who that might be. And most importantly, Nasu Kinoku-san, who created Fate. Oh, her son. Yeah, I get it now. And providing me with editorial oversight. Everyone at Type Moon, as well as everyone, the readers who picked up this book. Thank you. April 2006, while believing it was a secret that Watcher was originally Shielder. Oh. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. That's really interesting. Okay, yeah, I totally forget her name, but I know exactly who I'm thinking of. I cannot believe I just forgotten her name entirely. It's gone, right? I think it starts with an M. I don't know. Regardless, yeah, it's very clearly her. You know what? Screw this. Okay. Let's go to let me just see here. Fate Zero Mistress. I'm just Googling it. Nope. Nope, that's not giving it the right one. Kiritsugu girlfriend. Let's see here. Do we get it? Maya Hisao. Okay. Maya, that's what it is. All right. Thank you all for watching, everyone. This was a lot of fun. This is another good volume here. We finished this one. And we'll be moving on to volume 4. Pretty soon. Pretty soonish. We will. The plan is right now I'm actually I'm paying someone to rewrite volumes 1, 2, and 3 of Prototype. I'm not going to reread them, but I will get those released and put up on the internet. And then after that, we'll get 4, 5, and Labyrinth. So I'm looking forward to that so that we can actually finish reading those. But in the meantime, we'll probably move on to something else in place of this here, something that I already talked about. So thank you all for watching, guys. We'll see you next time for some more of our reading of Fate Strange Fake. Ciao.
Yo.